Moringa seeds. 12 natural remedies your doctor probably doesn't even know exist. Among the many plants studied for their nutritional and medicinal properties, Moringa stands out as one of the most densely packed with bioactive compounds. Known in many cultures as the miracle tree, it has been used in traditional medicine systems across Asia, Africa, and Latin America for centuries. But only in recent years has the modern science begun to confirm what ancient healers intuitively understood. The seeds of Moringa, in particular, contain a unique constellation of nutrients, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory agents, and insulin, modulating compounds that make them exceptionally valuable for individuals managing blood sugar challenges. As a physician working primarily with older adults, I have come to appreciate Moringa not as an alternative, but as a complementary support, especially when it comes to glucose regulation. Why is blood sugar such a critical issue? Because, as we age, insulin sensitivity tends to decline. Our cells stop responding as efficiently to the insulin our body produces. This means glucose, a form of sugar in the blood, has a harder time entering cells, and instead lingers in the bloodstream, leading to elevated levels over time. This contributes to fatigue, inflammation, nerve damage, and increased cardiovascular risk. What Moringa seeds offer is a gentle, natural way to improve the body's insulin response. Inside these tiny seeds are chlorogenic acid and isothiocyanates, two compounds that help restore metabolic function. Chlorogenic acid supports glucose metabolism by slowing the release of sugar into the bloodstream after meals, while isothiocyanates act at the cellular level to make insulin more effective. In other words, they help the key insulin fit better into the lock cell receptors, so glucose can get where it needs to go. One of the most compelling aspects of Moringa is its dual mechanism. It not only enhances insulin sensitivity, but also downregulates glucose production in the liver. For people with conditions like metabolic syndrome or prediabetes, this two-pronged support is essential. I recall a patient, Mrs. Tran, 71, who had been trying to lower her fasting glucose numbers for years. She was already walking daily, eating carefully, and on mild medication, but her morning levels remained stubbornly high. After incorporating just 1/4 teaspoon of ground moringa seeds into her morning routine, with a teaspoon of olive oil 20 minutes before breakfast, we began to see a shift. Over the next month, her fasting levels decreased by 18 points. But more tellingly, she reported fewer sugar crashes in the afternoon and less mental fog after meals. The key with Moringa is consistency and context. It's not a replacement for good nutrition or medical care, it's a strategic addition. For blood sugar stabilization, I typically recommend beginning with small doses, no more than 1/2 teaspoon per day, taken before meals with a fat source to improve absorption. This ensures that the potent compounds are used efficiently by the body and reduces the chance of digestive upset. And unlike many pharmaceutical agents that work through a single pathway, Moringa supports multiple systems at once: the pancreas, the liver, and the cells themselves. So while Moringa may appear humble, its impact on blood sugar regulation is anything but minor. Used wisely, it becomes part of a broader, more holistic approach to managing glucose levels, especially important for those navigating the complex metabolic changes that come with age. When we begin to bring blood sugar back into balance, something remarkable starts to happen beneath the surface, often quietly. Without fanfare, inflammation begins to ease, energy stabilizes, and the body, after years of imbalance, finds a rhythm again. But while blood sugar regulation addresses one major aspect of metabolic health, there's another silent battle that plays out inside every cell, every second: the fight against oxidative stress. And this is where Moringa continues to show its remarkable power. Oxidative stress is a concept I explain often in my practice, especially to older adults trying to understand why they feel worn down, even without a specific illness. Imagine every cell in your body as a tiny engine. Over time, as it burns fuel and performs daily tasks, it produces exhaust waste particles called free radicals. These free radicals aren't inherently bad. In small amounts, they're part of normal biological function. But when they build up too quickly or the body lacks defenses to neutralize them, they begin to damage cells from the inside out, breaking down DNA, weakening cellular membranes, and accelerating aging. This is where antioxidants come in. Think of them as the body's internal firefighters, quenching the flames of oxidative stress before they do harm. Moringa seeds, interestingly, are one of nature's richest sources of these protective compounds. They're not only high in vitamins C and E, known antioxidants, but also in unique phytochemicals like quercetin, chlorogenic acid, and a lesser known compound called moringine. What makes this combination so effective is how these agents work together, targeting different kinds of free radicals at different points in the cell. One detail many people overlook is bioavailability, how well your body can actually absorb and use what you consume. The antioxidants in moringa are particularly bioavailable, meaning they can cross the blood-brain barrier and offer protection not just to your heart and liver, but to your cognitive function as well. For older adults, this is no small matter. Declines in memory, focus, and mental clarity often begin not with age itself, but with accumulated oxidative damage in the brain. A patient of mine, Mr. Joe Thompson, age 74, didn't come to me with complaints of pain or disease. He came because, as he put it, "I just feel like I'm fading around the edges." We introduced a routine including moringa seed powder, just half a teaspoon per day, combined with hydration and improved sleep hygiene. Within 6 weeks, he reported feeling clearer, with better focus in the mornings and fewer episodes of mental fatigue. Though subtle, these changes reflected something profound: the slowing of internal damage, the rebuilding of cellular resilience. If you're wondering how to use moringa for antioxidant support, the key remains the same: low doses, taken consistently, ideally with a source of fat to assist absorption. And while results may not always be visible in the mirror, they often reveal themselves in how you feel in your recovery time, your immune resilience, and even the brightness of your mood. When your body receives the right support at a cellular level, when oxidative stress is reduced and inflammation is brought under control, something unexpected begins to change. Not just how you feel inside, but what others begin to notice on the outside. The skin, after all, is not separate from our internal health. It's an extension of it. And as we continue exploring the benefits of moringa seeds, we now arrive at an effect many don't expect from a nutritional intervention: improved skin health and visible anti-aging benefits. It's often said that the skin is a mirror of your internal state. And for good reason. As we age, collagen production slows down, skin cell turnover decreases, and chronic inflammation quietly undermines elasticity and radiance. That's when we begin to see the signs. Fine lines deepen, texture changes, and the skin loses that natural glow we often associate with youth and vitality. But what if there were a way to nourish the skin from the inside out, not just cover it up, but actually restore its foundation? Moringa seeds contain a rare and potent blend of nutrients specifically suited for this task: vitamin A, essential for cell regeneration; zinc, which supports wound healing and tissue repair; and a compound called zeatin, a plant cytokinin, known to stimulate cellular division and delay cell aging. Unlike topical creams that sit on the surface, these nutrients work from within, influencing the structure and resilience of your skin at the dermal level. One of my patients, Mrs. Anna, chapter 65, had been spending hundreds of dollars a month on anti-aging skincare routines, but remained frustrated by uneven tone, persistent dryness, and a general dullness that no serum could resolve. When we began a whole body approach supporting her antioxidant defenses, adding omega-3 fats, and introducing a small daily dose of ground moringa seed, she was skeptical. "Doctor," she told me, "I don't need miracles. I just want to look like myself again." 2 months later, she walked in with no makeup and a quiet smile. Her skin wasn't perfect, but it was healthier, softer, brighter, more alive. What makes Moringa unique in this realm is that it doesn't just address aging symptoms. It targets the underlying mechanisms. The combination of zeatin and anti-inflammatory compounds helps protect the skin matrix from enzymatic breakdown, while vitamin C in Moringa aids in collagen synthesis. This dual action, preserving structure while promoting renewal, is what gives Moringa its edge. For topical use, cold, pressed Moringa seed oil can be applied directly to the skin after cleansing, offering hydration and protection without clogging pores. Internally, just 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of ground seeds daily, preferably with a fat containing meal, can provide systemic support. And unlike synthetic treatments, Moringa works in harmony with your body's natural rhythms. True skin health is never just skin deep. It's the result of quiet, consistent nourishment over time. With Moringa, what begins as cellular protection becomes something more visible. The gentle return of tone, smoothness, and radiance, signs not of vanity, but of internal balance finally reaching the surface. When skin begins to glow again, when the texture softens and fine lines fade, it often reflects something much deeper than beauty. It signals that the body's internal systems are becoming more balanced. Healthy skin isn't created in isolation. It's the result of reduced inflammation, improved circulation, and a more efficient delivery of nutrients throughout the body. And if we're going to talk about circulation, we have to talk about the health of your arteries, your cardiovascular system. Because no matter how vibrant your skin may appear, if cholesterol levels are left unchecked, silent damage could still be building beneath the surface. Many of my older patients are surprised to learn that cholesterol itself isn't the enemy. In fact, your body needs it. Cholesterol helps produce hormones, build cell membranes, and support brain function. The real concern is imbalanced cholesterol, specifically when LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol, becomes oxidized and begins to stick to artery walls. Over time, this leads to plaque buildup, restricted blood flow, and increased risk of heart attack or stroke. And here, once again, Moringa seeds offer a quiet yet powerful form of support. What makes Moringa effective in cholesterol management is not a single magic compound, but its combination of plant sterols and bioactive agents like beta-sitosterol. Structurally similar to cholesterol, beta-sitosterol competes for absorption in the digestive tract. Think of it as a gentle decoy, reducing how much dietary cholesterol makes it into your bloodstream. At the same time, Moringa helps reduce inflammation in the arterial walls and prevents the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, two key processes that contribute to arterial stiffness and cardiovascular risk. I remember Mr. Brown, age 70, who had been on statins for several years, but experienced muscle fatigue and digestive discomfort. He didn't want to abandon his medication, but was searching for natural ways to complement his treatment. We introduced ground moringa seeds into his routine, starting with just 1/2 teaspoon daily, mixed with a simple homemade vinaigrette of olive oil and lemon juice. Over the next 8 weeks, his blood work revealed a notable reduction in LDL cholesterol and a modest increase in HDL, the good cholesterol. But more than the numbers, he reported feeling lighter, with improved energy and less heaviness in the chest after meals. To use Moringa effectively for cholesterol support, consistency is once again key. The seeds can be sprinkled over salads, blended into smoothies, or simply stirred into warm water. Pairing them with healthy fats improves their impact not only on cholesterol, but also on systemic inflammation. And unlike pharmaceuticals that often work through enzyme inhibition, moringa supports the body's natural cholesterol, regulating pathways without significant side effects when used appropriately. Good cardiovascular health isn't just about avoiding heart disease, it's about feeling strong and vital as you age. It's about ensuring that every organ, every cell, receives the oxygen and nutrients it needs without obstruction. Supporting your cholesterol balance naturally, through something as simple as a seed, might be the quiet foundation your heart has been waiting for. Supporting cholesterol balance is more than just a numbers game. It's about restoring fluidity to your bloodstream, easing the workload on your heart, and protecting the quiet vessels that serve your brain, kidneys, and limbs. But behind many of the health issues we face with age, whether it's high cholesterol, stiff joints, slow digestion, or even skin irritation, there's one common thread: inflammation. It is, in many ways, the hidden fire beneath chronic illness. And while inflammation in small doses helps us heal from injury or infection, chronic, low-grade inflammation is a very different story. It lingers, it smolders, and over time it erodes our quality of life. This is why I always tell my patients, if you're not addressing inflammation, you're only managing symptoms. That's where Moringa once again offers us something deeply valuable: natural anti-inflammatory support. Gentle enough for daily use, but powerful enough to create real change. Moringa seeds contain a unique spectrum of bioactive compounds, particularly isothiocyanates, quercetin, and natural peptides that influence some of the most critical inflammatory pathways in the human body. One of these pathways is known as NF-κB, a kind of master switch that regulates how your body responds to stress, injury, and cellular damage. When NF-κB is overactive, as it often is in older adults dealing with joint stiffness, gut issues, or autoimmune flares, it drives excessive inflammation. Moringa appears to help modulate this pathway, not block it completely like synthetic drugs often do, but gently tone it down to a healthier baseline. I've seen this effect firsthand in people like Ms. Hoa, 68, who came to me not for diabetes or cholesterol, but for persistent knee pain that limited her morning walks. She wasn't ready for steroid injections and was wary of long-term NSAID use due to stomach concerns. After discussing options, we introduced moringa seed powder into her diet, 1/2 teaspoon daily, mixed with a spoonful of mashed avocado. She committed to 3 weeks. By the end of that period, her morning stiffness had reduced, and she was walking twice as long without discomfort. It wasn't a cure. It was control. A quiet shift in her baseline. What I often emphasize is that inflammation is not just felt in the joints. It affects your mood, your gut, your blood vessels, even your sleep. And when you lower that systemic inflammation, everything begins to work just a bit more smoothly. Digestion becomes easier. Energy lasts longer. Recovery from daily strain becomes faster. That's what moringa helps facilitate, not by forcing the body, but by nourishing its natural ability to regulate itself. To get the most out of moringa's anti-inflammatory effects, take it consistently, and always pair it with a fat source to improve absorption. Whether it's a teaspoon of olive oil or a few slices of avocado, that combination allows its fat, soluble compounds to do their job where they're needed most at the cellular level. Because in the end, aging gracefully isn't just about keeping illness at bay. It's about quieting the hidden fires within, so that your body can return to a state of balance, repair, and resilience one calm day at a time. As inflammation begins to settle, many people notice something subtle but deeply encouraging. They feel lighter. their movements smoother, their digestion more comfortable, their mornings a little clearer. But beyond these surface level changes, something more fundamental is likely happening within the body's internal chemistry. Because once inflammation is reduced, the organs responsible for processing waste and filtering toxins can finally perform their jobs more efficiently. And at the center of that entire system, silent, tireless, and often overlooked, is the liver. Your liver is not just a passive filter. It's your body's biochemical factory. Every pill you swallow, every bite of food you eat, every environmental toxin you're exposed to, it all passes through the liver. And as we age, the liver's workload increases while its efficiency gradually declines. That's when we start seeing signs like sluggish digestion, unexplained fatigue, poor sleep, and in some cases, elevated liver enzymes on lab results. Supporting liver function isn't about a cleanse, it's about daily, consistent nourishment. And this is where Moringa seeds offer their next layer of quiet power. Moringa contains compounds that directly support the liver's detoxification process, particularly glutathione precursors and natural enzymes that activate what we call Phase 2 detoxification. If Phase 1 is about breaking down toxins, Phase 2 is about safely neutralizing and eliminating them. When Phase 2 is sluggish, toxins can actually become more dangerous as they accumulate. But when this phase is supported, when glutathione levels rise and liver enzymes are active, the body regains its natural ability to self-cleanse. One case that comes to mind is Mr. David, 66, a retired teacher who came to me with chronic fatigue and mildly elevated liver enzymes. He wasn't a drinker, didn't smoke, and his diet was relatively clean. But years of over-the-counter pain medications and stress had taken a toll on his liver. We introduced a gentle protocol: warm water with lemon first thing in the morning, followed by 1/4 teaspoon of ground moringa seed. He added a few drops of olive oil and took it on an empty stomach. Within a month, his energy levels began to shift. By the second month, his lab results reflected it too. Lower ALT and AST levels, improved glutathione markers, and better bile flow reported on ultrasound. The key is subtlety. Moringa doesn't flush the liver, it supports it. It offers raw materials for repair and activation. Its anti-inflammatory compounds also help protect liver cells from oxidative stress, especially important in those with fatty liver disease or metabolic syndrome. And because Moringa also improves blood sugar control and reduces systemic inflammation, it reduces the very load that burdens the liver in the first place. To enhance its effect, Moringa should be taken on an empty stomach with warm water and lemon, ideally in the morning, when liver detox pathways are most active. And as always, consistency matters more than dosage. The liver doesn't need shock treatment. It needs reliable support, given daily, with respect. Because when the liver is strong, the rest of the body follows. Clarity returns to the mind. Energy flows more freely, and the immune system reawakens. In supporting your liver, you're not just detoxifying, you're opening the path to long-term vitality from the inside out. As inflammation begins to settle, many people notice something subtle but deeply encouraging. They feel lighter, their movements smoother, their digestion more comfortable, their mornings a little clearer. But beyond these surface-level changes, something more fundamental is likely happening within the body's internal chemistry. Because once inflammation is reduced, the organs responsible for processing waste and filtering toxins can finally perform their jobs more efficiently. And at the center of that entire system, silent, tireless, and often overlooked, is the liver. Your liver is not just a passive filter. It's your body's biochemical factory. Every pill you swallow, every bite of food you eat, every environmental toxin you're exposed to, it all passes through the liver. And as we age, The liver's workload increases while its efficiency gradually declines. That's when we start seeing signs like sluggish digestion, unexplained fatigue, poor sleep, and in some cases, elevated liver enzymes on lab results. Supporting liver function isn't about a cleanse, it's about daily, consistent nourishment. And this is where moringa seeds offer their next layer of quiet power. Moringa contains compounds that directly support the liver's detoxification process, particularly glutathione precursors and natural enzymes that activate what we call Phase 2 detoxification. If Phase 1 is about breaking down toxins, Phase 2 is about safely neutralizing and eliminating them. When Phase 2 is sluggish, toxins can actually become more dangerous as they accumulate. But when this phase is supported, when glutathione levels rise, and liver enzymes are active, the body regains its natural ability to self-cleanse. One case that comes to mind is Mr. Charlie, 66, a retired teacher who came to me with chronic fatigue and mildly elevated liver enzymes. He wasn't a drinker, didn't smoke, and his diet was relatively clean, but years of over-the-counter pain medications and stress had taken a toll on his liver. We introduced a gentle protocol. Warm water with lemon first thing in the morning, followed by 1/4 teaspoon of ground moringa seed. He added a few drops of olive oil and took it on an empty stomach. Within a month, his energy levels began to shift. By the second month, his lab results reflected it too. Lower ALT and AST levels, improved glutathione markers, and better bile flow reported on ultrasound. The key is subtlety. Moringa doesn't flush the liver, it supports it. It offers raw materials for repair and activation. Its anti-inflammatory compounds also help protect liver cells from oxidative stress, especially important in those with fatty liver disease or metabolic syndrome. And because moringa also improves blood sugar control and reduces systemic inflammation, it reduces the very load that burdens the liver in the first place. To enhance its effect, moringa should be taken on an empty stomach with warm water and lemon, ideally in the morning, when liver detox pathways are most active. And as always, consistency matters more than dosage. The liver doesn't need shock treatment. It needs reliable support, given daily. With respect, Junfopko, because when the liver is strong, the rest of the body follows. Clarity returns to the mind, energy flows more freely, and the immune system reawakens. In supporting your liver, you're not just detoxifying, you're opening the path to long-term vitality from the inside out. Once the liver begins to function more efficiently, when it's no longer overwhelmed by inflammatory burden or excess metabolic waste, many people describe a renewed sense of clarity and lightness. But even with a strong detoxification system, we're still constantly exposed to external threats: bacteria, viruses, fungi, organisms we can't see, but that our immune system must confront daily, especially in older adults, where immune defenses naturally decline with age. The need for subtle, consistent immune support becomes vital. And once again, moringa shows up not just as a nutrient source, but as a natural antimicrobial ally. Long before antibiotics existed, traditional medicine practitioners used moringa to help fight infections from skin wounds to digestive ailments. Today, research is catching up, revealing that moringa seeds contain specialized proteins and phytochemicals with broad-spectrum antimicrobial effects. One such compound is MOCBP, a unique protein shown to disrupt bacterial membranes, essentially puncturing harmful cells without damaging healthy tissue. Another group of compounds, isothiocyanates, have demonstrated antiviral and antifungal effects by interfering with the replication of viruses and the growth of fungal colonies. But what makes moringa particularly compelling is its selectivity. Unlike many synthetic antibiotics that wipe out both harmful and beneficial microbes, moringa appears to leave the good bacteria largely undisturbed. This is crucial, especially for older adults, whose gut microbiome plays a significant role not just in digestion, but in immune regulation, mood stability, and inflammation control. I think of patients like Mrs. Claire, age 73, who came to me not with a major illness, but with frequent bouts of low-grade colds, skin infections, and slow wound healing. Her labs didn't show anything alarming, but her quality of life was clearly impacted. We started a simple daily addition: 1/4 teaspoon of ground moringa seeds, mixed with a teaspoon of raw honey, taken every morning before breakfast. Within 6 weeks, she noted fewer flare-ups, quicker recovery when sick, and even improvement in her oral health. Her dentist, she said with a smile, was pleasantly surprised. This combination, moringa and honey, is not just tasty. It's synergistic. Honey has natural antimicrobial properties of its own, and when combined with moringa, it enhances the bioavailability and immune-boosting effects of both. For respiratory concerns during cold season, or for those with weakened immune systems, this simple remedy becomes a daily shield. But let me be clear, moringa is not a replacement for necessary medications or medical treatment. It is, however, a gentle companion, strengthening your body's innate ability to resist and recover. In a world where antibiotic resistance is growing and immune systems are under constant strain, turning to nature's pharmacy isn't just nostalgic, it's practical. The goal isn't to sterilize your environment, it's to strengthen your internal environment. And when the liver is clear, inflammation is low, and immune defenses are supported by agents like moringa, your body becomes far less hospitable to disease and far more capable of protecting itself. When the immune system is better supported, less burdened by inflammation, less compromised by toxins or infections, what follows is often a subtle but unmistakable shift in overall equilibrium. Sleep becomes more restorative. Digestion flows more smoothly. Even the mood seems steadier. These quiet improvements often signal that the body's deeper regulatory systems are beginning to stabilize. And few systems are as complex or as easily disrupted as the endocrine system, the delicate web of glands and hormones that governs everything from energy to mood to metabolism. As we age, hormonal balance becomes less automatic and more vulnerable. But here, too, moringa offers its gentle hand. Hormones are chemical messengers. They tell your body when to sleep, when to digest, when to build, when to rest. And unlike nerves, which act quickly and locally, hormones operate more like background music, subtle, constant, shaping everything in ways we often don't notice until something goes wrong. In women, shifting estrogen and progesterone levels can lead to hot flashes, irregular cycles, and emotional turbulence. In men, declining testosterone can bring fatigue, reduced strength, and lower motivation. And across all genders, imbalances in cortisol, insulin, and thyroid hormones can quietly erode quality of life. Moringa seeds contain nutrients that directly support hormonal pathways. Zinc and magnesium, for instance, are essential cofactors in hormone synthesis. Vitamin E helps protect endocrine glands from oxidative damage. But perhaps more uniquely, moringa has demonstrated adaptogenic properties. It appears to help normalize hormone levels, whether they're too high or too low. Rather than pushing them in one direction, this ability to restore balance, rather than impose change, is what makes it so suitable for older adults navigating complex hormonal transitions. I recall a case with Mrs. Amelia Grace, age 61, who came to me struggling with post-menopausal symptoms: fatigue, brain fog, disrupted sleep, and unpredictable mood swings. Rather than beginning with hormone therapy, we focused first on nourishing her body's regulatory capacity. Moringa became a daily ritual. 1/2 teaspoon of ground seeds stirred into warm oat milk with a touch of cinnamon. It wasn't an overnight fix, but by week 6, she reported fewer night sweats, more stable emotions, and what she called mental quiet, that kind of change. I have learned is often the first sign that deeper systems are coming back online. Men, too, can benefit from Moringa's endocrine support. Low testosterone doesn't always show up as dramatic symptoms. It can be as subtle as loss of drive, lower confidence, or diminished physical recovery. When paired with strength, building habits, and adequate sleep, Moringa may help support natural testosterone levels and improve metabolic resilience. The beauty of hormonal balance is that it often restores itself when given the right environment. Moringa doesn't override the endocrine system. It nurtures it. By reducing oxidative stress, improving nutrient availability, and supporting the glands that orchestrate hormonal communication, it helps the body do what it was designed to do: adapt, respond, and maintain internal harmony. Because aging doesn't have to mean losing balance, it can mean finding a new one. Quiet, steady, and sustainable. As hormonal rhythms begin to stabilize when energy flows more evenly, emotions settle, and sleep deepens, there is another system in the body that often responds in quiet gratitude. The digestive tract. Oh, it's no coincidence. Hormones like cortisol, estrogen, and thyroid all play key roles in how our gut functions. And when that system, our second brain, as many now call it, is working well, everything else seems to follow. Digestion is not just about processing food, it's about absorbing life. And in this too, Moringa seeds offer surprising support. Many older adults live with subtle digestive discomforts they've simply come to accept. Bloating after meals, irregular bowel movements, a sense of heaviness, or even mild nausea that comes and goes. Often, these symptoms are dismissed as part of aging, but they don't have to be. What's frequently happening is a slowdown in motility, a loss of microbial diversity in the gut, and low-grade inflammation in the intestinal lining. Left unaddressed, these issues can cascade into nutrient malabsorption, immune dysregulation, and even mood disorders. Moringa seeds contain both soluble and insoluble fiber, making them excellent for promoting balanced gut transit. Soluble fiber feeds the beneficial bacteria in the colon, your microbiome, while insoluble fiber adds bulk and encourages regularity. But beyond fiber, Moringa also contains gentle antispasmodic compounds, which can calm the smooth muscles of the digestive tract and ease cramping or spasms, particularly in those with irritable bowel tendencies. One of my patients, Mr. Charlie, age 69, came to me with persistent bloating and inconsistent bowel habits. His diet was relatively healthy, but he described his gut as unpredictable. After ruling out more serious concerns, we started a morning ritual, soaking 3 whole Moringa seeds in water overnight and drinking the water along with the seeds first thing upon waking. The change was subtle at first: less bloating by day 5, more regular movements by the end of the second week. But what stood out most to him was the return of comfort. I forgot what it felt like, he told me, to eat without wondering how I'd feel an hour later. To enhance digestive support, Moringa can also be added in powdered form, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon, into yogurt, smoothies, or warm herbal teas, taken before meals. It may help reduce post-meal bloating and support digestive enzyme function. It's isothiocyanates, in addition to calming inflammation, also appear to have a balancing effect on gut flora, discouraging harmful bacteria without disturbing the beneficial strains. Digestion is a rhythm deeply influenced by what we eat, how we breathe, and even how we feel. When it's disrupted, our whole system feels off. But with gentle, consistent support, it can return to its natural flow. Moringa doesn't force this rhythm. It reminds the body of it. And in doing so, it restores not just digestive comfort, but the joy of eating, absorbing, and living fully present in one's own body. When digestion begins to function smoothly again, when meals no longer leave behind discomfort, and the body starts to absorb instead of resist, something beautiful begins to happen. Nourishment becomes possible. Not just the act of eating, but the experience of being truly fed. Because in the end, it's not what we consume that matters most. It's what our body can use, repair with, and transform into strength. And that brings us to one of the most understated gifts of moringa seeds: their extraordinary nutritional density. In clinical settings, we often talk about nutrient-dense foods, but few ingredients live up to that term, quite like moringa. Gram for gram, these humble seeds offer a complete protein source with all 9 essential amino acids, an unusual feature among plant-based foods. They're also packed with a spectrum of vital micronutrients, 7 times more vitamin C than oranges, 4 times the calcium of milk, 3 times the potassium of bananas, and twice the protein of yogurt. For older adults whose appetite may wane or whose digestive systems are less efficient, this kind of concentrated nourishment can be profoundly supportive. What's more, the nutrients in moringa are in highly bioavailable forms, meaning the body doesn't need to work hard to extract and use them. This makes it ideal for those recovering from illness, dealing with chronic fatigue, or simply needing a reliable nutritional boost without adding bulk to their meals. I remember a patient named Abraham, 73, who had recently recovered from a bout of pneumonia. Though the infection had cleared, he remained weak, underweight, and without appetite. Rather than pushing food he couldn't tolerate, we started with something gentle, a morning porridge fortified with just a half teaspoon of freshly ground moringa seed. Within weeks, he began to regain not only weight, but color in his face, strength in his grip, and clarity in his voice. It was like I stopped declining, he told me, and began rebuilding. Moringa's nutritional richness also includes iron, well absorbed thanks to its natural vitamin C content, which is particularly useful for older adults at risk of anemia. It's no wonder that in many parts of the world, moringa is used to combat malnutrition, even in children. For those with specific dietary needs, vegetarians, diabetics, those with reduced appetite, it can serve as a safe, plant-based, nutrient-packed addition to daily meals. To preserve its nutrients, moringa seed powder should be used fresh whenever possible and kept in airtight containers away from light and heat. Stirred into soups, blended into smoothies, or simply mixed into warm water with a little honey. It offers more than just sustenance. It provides foundational building blocks for cellular repair, muscle strength, and immune resilience. Because true nourishment isn't just about filling the stomach, it's about fortifying the body, especially when age and illness have quietly depleted its reserves. Moringa does this gently, consistently, and with remarkable generosity. Once the body begins receiving true nourishment, not just calories, but minerals, amino acids, and antioxidants in their most absorbable forms, a quiet transformation often follows. It's not loud or dramatic. It doesn't arrive like a jolt of caffeine. Instead, it's like watching morning light slowly fill a dark room. Energy begins to return, but this time, not the nervous, fleeting kind. This is sustainable energy, the type that supports endurance, mental clarity, and steady focus. And this is where moringa reveals yet another facet of its power, its ability to nourish energy production at the cellular level. To understand this, imagine your body as a city. Every cell is a home or building, and inside each one is a power plant called the mitochondrion. These tiny structures are responsible for creating ATP, the biological currency of energy. But like any plant, they need raw materials to function. They require iron to carry oxygen, B vitamins to process fuel, and antioxidants to protect them from damage as they work. Moringa seeds provide exactly this cocktail: iron in a bioavailable form, a full spectrum of B vitamins, and unique phytochemicals that enhance mitochondrial efficiency and reduce oxidative fatigue. This means that instead of pushing the body harder, Moringa allows the body to function better. It doesn't force energy. It restores the machinery that creates it. That's why so many who use Moringa regularly report improved stamina, not in the form of overstimulation, but in reduced mid-day slumps, shorter recovery times after activity, and a greater sense of mental steadiness throughout the day. Even more impressive is how Moringa supports oxygen delivery and blood flow. With its rich potassium content, it helps regulate muscular contractions and electrolyte balance, supporting physical endurance. Meanwhile, the iron and vitamin C combination assists in the formation of healthy red blood cells, ensuring that tissues and muscles receive the oxygen they need during physical exertion. Think of a windmill. When the blades are rusty and the gears jammed, it doesn't matter how hard the wind blows, it can't generate power. But clean the blades, oil the gears, and even a light breeze can bring it to life. That's what Moringa does for your body's internal energy systems. It clears, nourishes, and supports. The effort is still yours. But now, the system responds. For best results, small daily amounts taken 30 to 45 minutes before your most active time of day can help support endurance and focus. Whether stirred into a light smoothie or taken with warm water and lemon, Moringa helps your body return to its natural rhythm of sustainable, meaningful energy. Because at any age, vitality isn't about pushing harder. It's about restoring what was always there, the quiet power that fuels a full, engaged life. When the body begins to generate clean energy, when each cell produces ATP more efficiently, and oxygen flows freely to muscle and brain alike, it often leads to a quiet but profound shift in behavior. Movement becomes easier, effort becomes lighter, and daily activity feels less draining. This is not only a return of vitality, it is the biological precondition for something many people strive for, but rarely achieve in a sustainable way: healthy weight loss. Not the kind that comes from restriction or deprivation, but from improved metabolism. And here, Moringa offers yet another layer of support this time, through its role in fat metabolism and weight regulation. Weight gain in older adults is rarely the result of eating too much alone. More often, it's the consequence of disrupted insulin signaling, chronic inflammation, hormonal imbalances, and a slowing of metabolic pathways. The body begins storing rather than burning, holding on to fat, especially visceral fat, around the abdomen, not because it wants to, but because it's confused. Moringa works at the crossroads of these dysfunctions. It supports insulin sensitivity, helping to stabilize blood sugar and reduce the hormonal triggers that promote fat storage. At the same time, its isothiocyanates and chlorogenic acid compounds appear to influence fat metabolism, directly encouraging the body to use stored fat as fuel more efficiently. Another key mechanism is satiety. Moringa's rich fiber content can help curb appetite naturally when taken before meals. The fiber expands slightly in the stomach, sending signals of fullness to the brain, which may lead to a reduced total caloric intake without the stress of strict dieting. Unlike synthetic appetite suppressants, Moringa does this gently, in sync with the body's natural rhythms. For those aiming to lose weight or reduce abdominal fat, a simple routine can be surprisingly effective. 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of ground moringa seeds taken 15 to 20 minutes before meals with a full glass of water. This helps manage blood sugar, promotes satiety, and primes the digestive system to process nutrients more efficiently. Weight loss should never come at the cost of energy or health, especially in older adults. The goal is not just to weigh less, but to move with ease, to feel lighter both physically and mentally. With Moringa, the body is not being forced into change. It is being reminded how to function as it once did, with clarity, balance, and metabolic grace. When we look at Moringa, we're not just seeing a seed, we're witnessing nature's quiet brilliance. From stabilizing blood sugar to calming inflammation, supporting liver function, nourishing skin, strengthening immunity, balancing hormones, restoring digestion, and even aiding in fat metabolism, Moringa doesn't offer quick fixes. It offers steady support layer by layer, system by system. What makes it truly powerful is not just its nutrient density, but the way it helps the body remember how to heal, regulate, and thrive gently and naturally, especially in older adults, where resilience may seem distant. Moringa serves as a daily reminder that strength can return, clarity can rebuild, and health is never out of reach. Let your journey toward vitality be supported by wisdom both ancient and proven, and